first, I want to direct you, if you're a radio listener, to our top story today. DHS training video. White middle-class Americans are the #1 terror threat. It's also the top story at Infowars.com. It's an Infowars.com story. DHS video characterizes white Americans as most likely terrorists. That is coming up in a detailed report and analysis of their brainwashing program and exactly what they're attempting to do with the divide and conquer system. They've got ads that, DHS ads that show black people and Hispanics and others seeing white people. All the terrorists are white, and it zooms in on big blue eyes, animated, glowing like glacial ice. And it's just the whites are everywhere. The whites are everywhere. They're going to get you. You know, the white Al-Qaeda. See, first they tell the good old boys, we're going to take all the rights away of the brown people. And the good old boys are like, good, get them brown people, kill them, glass parking lot them. We get all the internal documents. It's all about gun owners, conservatives, returning veterans. Words cannot describe how wicked and duplicitous this is. So, what did Hitler do? First, he goes after unpopular groups in Germany, Jews, gypsies, communists, and he takes their rights away in law, and people get behind it, yeah, get them. Then he swung it around against Christians, against Protestants, against Seventh-day Adventists, you name it, against his competition in business, even fellow Nazis. They would rob their companies and send them off to a death camp. This is what they did. A lot of the French that helped the Nazis take over France, they got turned against. A lot of the Vichy did. So that's how this works. You first set something up with an unpopular group. And whether it's a good thing to make Muslims and Arabs unpopular or not, and obviously it's discrimination and stereotypical and wrong, it was acceptable to say these people are devils, nuke them, to call them horrible pejoratives, camel bleepers, rag, bleepers, sand, N-words. That's all cute and funny on talk radio. Well, I don't think it is. Because even if you think Muslims are evil and bad and want to get you, at the end of the day, this was being beta tested on them to then be used against everybody else. And I told you, they've taken over the Middle East. They've invaded all the countries. They now are flipping over to work with Al-Qaeda to overthrow Gaddafi, the Muslim Brotherhood to overthrow Mubarak. They're now shifting to a new phase. They're going to keep the Muslim demonization going, but it's now a dish that's cooked. They just put it on the back burner to keep it warm. And they've killed bin Laden, in their staged event. They're now moving on to the next phase to, okay, we don't have a Bill of Rights. We spy on you. You have no rights. We can secretly arrest citizens under the John Warren Defense Authorization Act, Enemy Commissions Act. We can fly you to places to be tortured. We can secretly execute you. Obama's continuing it. Now the next phase, white Al-Qaeda. And in this video, they cut to, and every one of them were mentally ill patsies. It's been confirmed. Even mainstream news admits. Jihad Jane and others. Blue eyes. Animating the blue eyes in the video to glow. Look, blue, blue. They're Al-Qaeda. And it shows, at the beginning of this Homeland Security 9-minute video, a shot of family. Thinking about all that's good in America. Nostalgia. On top of the piano. And 90+% of the photos of the American family, it's Hispanics, it's Asians, it's black people. So you see it instantly. And there's one white guy, but he's blurred in the background. So it's like, this is America. We are many people. And then it cuts to a black guy. He's professional. He's good in his suit. He's no longer being the stereotypically put down by the same media, same government as a gangbanger. He's going out in the parking garage and he sees evil white guys getting ready to blow up the building, and he calls it in on them. I've told you for 9 years, white Al-Qaeda. I even said they're going to call it white Al-Qaeda. I know them. I study them. I'm like a criminologist following a serial killer for decades. I know their next move. Like I told you about propaganda placement and message placement and police state placement. Now they even use those terms. And so they've got the entire grid set up. Over 90% of the training with police and military together, under FBI command, under DHS command, and you go to these drills, or I've been sent photos of the drills and video and the roster of the drills, it's got to be more than 95%. It's all people wearing feed lot caps, dressed like rednecks, going, "You're not taking my land." And then a bomb goes off, and they tell the police, "The farmers attacked us." So they're scripting it and putting farmers in the role that they're terrorists. The cops play the role and are so weak-minded, they then now believe that farmers are going to blow them up. And so now it's okay with a heavy machine gun. They mow the farmers down. This was going on in 2002 at bases. I had contractors who were working at the base who shot video on top of the building they were retarring, and they would not let me show the video. They came up to access. They showed it to me, the Marines, at an Army base. And the people were like, no. And, of course, I shot some video myself at drills of similar things. We're Americans. Oh, no, please not the camp. And interrogating them and asking the role players, where'd you get the guns? Well, I got my gun in San Francisco. I mean, that's in Police Day 2000. But these guys showed me footage, and I said, please let me show this. They said, we'll come back, maybe later, but they'll know we were contractors. And I said, I'll blow up the video where they can't tell you we're on the roof. And they said, no. This is why I've always known that even if the government isn't staging the terror, and unfortunately the evidence is overwhelming, they are. It's ridiculous how much evidence there is. The entire architecture of Homeland Security, that, by the way, existed pre-9/11. You got documents with Clinton setting it up in Colorado in 1994 and speeches. Again, they always set something up before they roll it out years later. The key here is that they've set up the entire architecture and the training and the drills for the American people. I only know of one drill, and I know about it because I had some family involved, out at Camp Mabry a year ago, and the public was invited, where they had a guy with a Muslim turban on and the fake beard and practiced killing some terrorists with some helicopters over there, and that was just for the public. Oh, look, we're killing the Muslims. But you go to the real internal drills, it is kill those U.S. militias, take them out. Remember New York Times a couple of years ago? We showed you the article. It said, Explorer Scouts nationwide, it showed photos, trained to kill disgruntled vets. It's for you. It's for you. Let's say Al-Qaeda did 9/11 just for laughs. Okay, fine. They've used it to set up a grid for the American people. And they're now telling minorities, who are the majority in most cities, hey, it's Whitey, get him. Oh, hey, I saw something out of the ordinary. I saw a U.S. government agent get a drugged-out black kid on the airplane in Amsterdam. Yeah, he didn't have a passport or anything, but they got him on the plane. Shut up, Mr. Haskell. We don't know anything about that. By the way, the firecracker blew up in his pants. I want to give you a report. Shut up, Mr. Haskell. Turned out it was all true. I want to report the government's the terrorist. Do you see through this? See, first they say, get rid of America's liberties because, you know, it's brown folks we want to go after. And so a lot of whites go, yeah, I'm scared of brown people. Even if you're not racist, some whites are so guilt-ridden they're scared. And so, okay, well, we're just taking the Muslims' rights or the brown people rights. And then now that they've got that in place, okay, now they're going to shift it over. No, it's the whitey. He's going to get you to get the minorities after it. And this 9-minute video goes on and on. You know, where 90% of the photos of the good people are quote, minorities. You know, there's only a few whites. And then the black guys reporting on the whites. And then G.I. Jane, her eyes, for, you know, shining blue, have been accentuated. I mean, clearly, as somebody that works in media and recognizes propaganda, this is off the chart. Then we have all the actual training manuals that law enforcement have given us, where it's all about Ron Paul, conservatives, libertarians, gun owners, patriots. And then they make it about being white because they say, and these people are probably racist. You see, so which then makes it racial. And so that's how they're always injecting this and, you know, talking about McVeigh and Elohim City and the Oklahoma City bombing, but never getting into the fact that those were staged events. Here's part of Paul Watson's article, and we'll come back with the rest of the video and my analysis of it. DHS video characterizes white Americans as most likely terrorists. Big Sis Fear campaign continues, but Americans are just as likely to be killed by peanut allergies than they are in terrorist attacks. A new promotional video released by the Department of Homeland Security characterizes white middle-class Americans as the most likely terrorist. As Big Sis continues its relentless drive, we should add some articles where they talk about white Al-Qaeda, the next threat. You know, we know what this is also because of the past scripting. As Big Sis continues its relentless drive to cement the myth that mad bombers are hiding around every corner, when in reality Americans are just as likely to be killed by lightning strikes or peanut allergies. The video is part of a Homeland Security $10 million See Something, Say Something program that encourages Americans to report suspicious activity, which in every case throughout history has been a trait of oppressive dictatorial regimes. It's all about not trusting your fellow citizens, only trusting the big mommy government who's on record staging the terror attacks. In the course of a 10-minute clip, a myriad of different behavior and characterized as terrorism, including opposing surveillance. Oh, yeah, people that don't like being surveilled. Using a video camera. That's why cops come in your own yard and say you can't videotape them. Talking to police officers. Yeah, you don't talk to the godlike government. Wearing hoodies, driving vans, writing on a piece of paper, and using a cell phone recording application. And that's in manuals we got 5 years ago. The feds put out in the state of Texas. It said, having a cell phone, wearing blue jeans. I saw an AP article where it said, don't just trust that priest or that woman with a baby carriage. They may be the terrorist. It's about everybody's a terrorist. First, they start with the unpopular Muslims. Then they move on to blacks in America. Then they move on to the whiteys. Despite encouraging viewers not to pay attention to a person's race in determining whether or not they may be a terrorist, almost all the scenarios in the clip proceed to portray white people as the most likely terrorist. You know, they show like one 9/11 hijacker. Bizarrely, nearly every single one of the patriotic Americans who reports on their fellow citizens is either black, Arab, or Asian. Again, this is all heavily scripted. They decide all of this stuff beforehand. Imagine if the video portrayed every terrorist as an Arab and every patriotic snoop is white, there'd be an outcry, and rightly so. But this strange reversal must have been deliberate on the part of the DHS. But why? Is this merely political correctness taken to the extreme, or is this something deeper at work? Well, we have all the training manuals. We have warned of this for years, that first, governments throughout history get rid of the country's liberties and freedoms by going after an unpopular minority group. Hitler, it was the Jews, communists, stuff like that. Here, it was the Muslims. The system stages the events, provocateurs, nutcases. It's a whole grab bag of different types of provocateur terror. Then they build the architecture of the police state for the general public. So they have white audiences where they say, we're going after the brown people. Then they go to the brown audiences and they say, we're going after the white people. And that's what this nearly 10-minute Department of Homeland Security video does, but it's worse than that. We have all the different training manuals sent to us by police and military over the years that we've published and have made national news. Homeland Security, My Act, the list goes on. And in the training, over 90% is for what? Remember a few years ago, veterans seen as the #1 terror threat returning home? Remember a few months ago, okay, finally Congress voted for health care for the military, police, and fire veterans in 9/11, but you got to go through a terror database every time you get your health care? They're setting that precedent. Ron Paul supporters, Bob Barr supporters, people that like America, freedom to fascism, people that like Alex Jones. This is in the different manuals. And then they say these groups are connected to racism. So they make it about being white by saying, oh, they're connected to white supremacists when there's no connection. Meanwhile, Hal Turner, one of the top Nazis, it turns out, in federal court, high-level FBI operative for decades, working, of course, with Sean Hannity. That came out. Just look up Hal Turner, Sean Hannity. Very bizarre. These people are operatives. By the way, that's in the news today, that they ran black op intelligence systems. London Telegraph reports that News Corps, its division in England, was running black op intelligence operations, and that their reporters were basically private contractor agents working with MI6. Of course they are, ladies and gentlemen. What, you know about Operation Mockingbird here in the United States? I mean, we're in deep, 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 deep trouble. And so they branded the war on terror with, we're taking the rights away, but we're only going to enforce it on the evil Muslims, in quotes. Now it's, oh my gosh, the white Al-Qaeda. And in every one of the scenarios, except one, in a 10-minute video, it's, quote, minorities, Asians, blacks, Hispanics, reporting on the evil whites. And it just goes on and on and on.